Dr. Richter. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have the opportunity to discuss Linde's role in evolving carbon capture, utilization, and storage, especially in the MENA CCUS landscape. And given Linde's leadership in this industrial and CCUS sector, I'm keen to hear your thought on the market and the region.
Honam, thank you very much for the question. And first, let me express how excited I am to have the opportunity that we have this discussion in the context of the MENA CO2 Summit. It's very good to see that industry leaders are coming together in order to evaluate corporations, which are very crucial from my perspective, in order to make the decarbonization of the economies in the Gulf happening.
Yes.
Looking to the GCC countries where I'm responsible for in the Linde business, we see very mature countries. We see countries that are significantly depending on oil and gas industry, and as a result of that, having very large CO2 emissions. We also observe that there is a very strong political will articulated through the Agenda 2030 and others to lower the CO2 footprint of the Gulf countries and to provide decarbonated fuels for the rest of the world, as well as downstream products that have a very low CO2 footprint. Linde, as one of the global leaders in the industrial gas and engineering space, can provide multiple solutions in order to achieve those targets. First and foremost, to be named is the provision of infrastructures like CCS networks. Where perhaps the most prominent project is our collaboration together with Saudi Aramco and SLB, intending to build a CCS network in the eastern province of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for an initial capacity of 9 million tons of sequestration, where Linde provides technology in terms of compression, in terms of drying, and in terms of handling the gases, where we can build and exploit our more than 140 years of history in the CO2 space. What we also do in this area is to provide technologies that enable existing customers with their various industrial processes to take the CO2 out of their processes. In the past, if you look a couple of decades back, this was a process that was only prone to industries that have a very CO2-rich off-gas stream. So concentrations about 80%, 90% were very typical here. Technological advancement, however, have created technical solutions at industrial scale that enable lots of customers with significantly diluted CO2 streams also to capture the CO2 at scale. We're talking here about 500,000 cubic meters per hour and more, and at much lower concentrations. And this is important for abatement of steel industry processes in the power generation that have a lower CO2 content. Last but not least, the best way of avoiding CO2 is not to generating it at the first place. And here we see an enormous improvement through innovations across multiple sectors. Let me give you a few examples. The utilization and replacement of air by oxygen in combustion processes is not only an opportunity to enhance the effectiveness and the efficiency of the customer process, it's also an opportunity to generate less CO2. We have customers here in the Emirates that use CO2 to reduce the amount of cement in concrete manufacturing, and by doing so, improving their own efficiency in the process. Going to an extent that, together with our partners SABIC and BASF, we have a project that focuses on the first e-furnace, where a furnace for a steam cracker is replaced by electrical heating, and the level of decarbonization that can be reached thanks to this technology surpasses everything that we have seen so far. Insofar, there's a great potential from our perspective here for the Gulf in driving the energy transition and supporting far beyond the border of the Arabian Peninsula.
Thank you so much, Dr. Richter, for your comprehensive introduction about Linde's perspective on the CCUS as well as the current project that's in their pipeline. So, speaking of the CCUS market in the MENA region, I'm actually wondering how does Linde view CCUS in this region, particularly regarding its role in decarbonizing the hard-to-abate sectors, which is really important in this regard, and how mature it is for the market for the broader CCUS adoption in the MENA region.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Honam, for this question. Yes. Let me start with a technological aspect. From a technological perspective, as I already have alluded to, we are well able to capture CO2 streams from various industries, from low concentration, small volumes, to large concentration CO2 streams in an effective and very cost competitive manner. Projects like the one we are pursuing together with Saudi Aramco and SLB will provide over time the right infrastructure. In our case, in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia, there are similar projects like Al Reda in the United Emirates, where also here the intent is to provide CCS hubs that enable large-scale emitter, but incrementally also small-scale emitter to join these hubs, and that CO2 emissions get captured and then either sequestrated permanently or brought to places where we have chemical sinks or other utilizations of the CO2. Talking about economics, which is a different perspective, we do see that many of downstream industries or customers that have exports to the European Union can benefit today from CBAM mechanism and find, by putting a value behind the CO2 stream, positive economics. We do see this tendency clearly for customers that are engaging with the European Union as trading partner. We do this equally see in some Asian countries, notably in Japan and Korea. The majority of the customers, however, are working inside the domestic market. And here, the development of a regulatory framework is not as far advanced as that it would provide today a business case, particularly for the private sector, joining into these initiatives. That said, we are convinced it is crucial that regulators continue to work in putting frameworks on and a value behind the CO2 emissions in order to make sure that particularly the private sector find positive economics in order to finance these investments.
Thank you, Dr. Richter. So speaking of the specific project or the really prominent project, that is to say the Jubail project, so could you please provide us with an update on this project and share some of the key insights Linde has gained from the development of this project undertaking? And what challenges have you encountered, and how has this shaped the approach to the future CCUS project in the region?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for this question. Let me start perhaps with a statement that from a technical perspective, CCS is not new. It has been operated successfully in various geographies for many decades. We understand the technology, we understand the implication of the technology on compression, on drying, on transporting CO2 efficiently over long distances, but also material compatibility questions, corrosion questions, and questions in the subsurface are very much aligned, and the collective knowledge the industry has today can ensure that large-scale CCS projects can be operated in a safe and reliable manner. My personal learning out of the CCS project in Jubail was the importance of collaboration. The importance of collaboration because I think it is fair to say that none of the industry players today provides a holistic knowledge about each and every aspect CCS needs to have in order to be successful. From the Linde side, what we provide is technological expertise on the carbon capture bit, but equally for every part that goes along with the CO2 processing above the ground. Pipeline systems, compression stations, dryers, and the like. We wouldn't have been able to do this project without the help of SLB. SLB, being one of the world leaders in subsurface technology, provided everything that is needed in terms of underground, instrumentation of sequestration wells and the like. This collaboration is absolutely crucial. And very important also is the participation of Aramco. Aramco, as an NOC, having access to the porous space and providing the necessary legal framework in order to make CCS happening. This collaboration between parties where every individual company provides their level of experience into a common target to make carbon sequestration reality is absolutely crucial for the project in Jubail and also for all other CCS projects that are going to come in this region.
Yeah, to with you, that partnership really plays a really pivotal role in deploying the CCUS project. So could you please share with us what do you think are the key factors within the partnership or collaborations will be necessary to drive the successful deployment of CCUS technology, especially for a scaling?
From my perspective, success in the CCS space can only be achieved if there is a willingness to lower the CO2 intensity of the industry of a region. This is very important because the regulator play a very crucial role in providing the right framework that ensures security for investors. Not having the political will to decarbonize will not lead to success of these projects. The second aspect, and this is inside the project, is that the different players need to be open to learn from each other. They need to rely on each other to a very large extent, and they need to find the right mechanisms on how to govern these projects and make it mutually for success. And obviously, the industries the partners are coming from is a very different one. And insofar, it is extremely important to have the right platforms, the right governance models in place to secure the best potential and the best and most effective way of collaborating between the partners. And I can say that for our projects in Saudi Arabia, I think we have made a tremendous progress and have a very effective way of driving this project forward.
Thank you. So let's come to the final question. If we really have to look ahead for the next years, could you please use 3 keywords or themes that you want to use to describe the most significant emerging trends in the carbon capture and storage domain from your perspective?
The first theme I would like to mention, Honam, is the creation of CCS hubs. The investment needed in order to make this technology happen is very significant. Insofar, the accessibility from a singular customer to these networks is based on very large-scale emitters. What we shouldn't forget is that there are many other companies in these very well-matured economies, like we find it here inside the Gulf, that also do have CO2 emissions. For those smaller CO2 emitters, it is crucial on an incremental base to join these large networks. And that's why a shared infrastructure will be crucial to achieve lower CO2 footprint for the economy as a whole. The second aspect I do see, which is of very high importance, are for those customers that do not benefit from bringing their final products to geographies where legislation already is in place. And I'm looking here particularly on the CBAM topic and within the European Union. I do believe that a regulatory framework providing value streams to emissions inside the Gulf countries, inside the GCC area, is crucial in order to make it successful and to find the right framework to finance projects as they are coming up in this part of the region. The third element is a bit disconnected from CCS, which is to put further innovation in customer processes that will create processes and technologies to avoid the generation, or at least to reduce the generation of CO2 in the first instance. In particular, looking at very large emitters, aluminum, steel. There are significant improvements that have been done over the past years that replace coke and hence the generation of CO2 by other products like hydrogen, where I'm convinced that with this innovation, the total amount of CO2 generated by these industries is going to be lowered, and the likelihood of successful decarbonization is even further increased.
Thank you so much, Dr. Richter. I think that's been a really insightful, informative discussion, especially with your impressive 3 key takeaways from the trend of the CCUS market in MENA region for the future. And I really look forward to witnessing more endeavor that Linde will make in the valuing process, especially regarding the project, regarding the partnership. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Hanam. It was a pleasure to talk to you.